Hi everybody, Jordan Blotcher here, aka the Sports Card Lawyer, back again with another video. So, in this video, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that's very current, and it's an ongoing question mark in the football collector's hobby, and that question is, what do we do with Deshaun Watson? There are so many question marks surrounding Deshaun Watson. He hasn't played in well over a year. When he did play, he was completely elite. He looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's now been traded to Cleveland, and most recently, he was handed down his 6-game suspension. And there's even some question marks relating to the suspension itself. At this point in time, both the NFL Players Association and the NFL have appealed the decision of the arbitration judge who was handling the matter. The NFL Players Association has appealed and asked for less of a suspension or no suspension at all, and the NFL has asked for an indefinite suspension and a fine. So the question is, first of all, do we think that there's going to be any movement from the sentence that was already handed down? Most likely not. These appeals are usually unsuccessful when you see an appeal. Most of the time, whatever the original judge said, there's just going to be, deference to the decision that she made, given that she was the one, presiding over the trial and she had all the information in front of her and she made a decision. Basically, what the NFL Players Association is arguing is that the judge should not have found that there was sufficient evidence that Deshaun Watson had actually engaged in unacceptable, gross sexual misconduct towards, the people who he allegedly sexually assaulted. And so that argument's probably not going to succeed. Because the judge heard all the evidence and she found that there was ample evidence that he had committed sexual assault. And so if there is movement in Deshaun Watson's sentence, I would expect for it to be in the direction of a longer sentence. However, I don't think there's going to be any movement. So I think that the 6-game suspension that he was hit with is what we're going to be seeing actually play out over the course of this year. So that's the first question. And now the second question is more of an ethical question. Is Deshaun Watson someone who you should look to own in your collection? This is something that I've been battling with as of late, because I recognize that there might be a really great buying opportunity here, because he is such a good quarterback, or he was at least when he was playing over a year ago. He was a great quarterback. So if we are ethically concerned about the quality of his character, does that indicate that we should not buy his cards? And I used to say, you know what, I'm never going to own any Deshaun Watson. I'm not going to put any Deshaun Watson in my collection. I don't want to support that sort of, behavior or conduct, and I don't want to be associated with it by selling his cards. But then when I think about it now, he doesn't benefit when you sell a card. Unless, he's the one buying it as an investment piece, which is very doubtful. He's not making money. The only thing that you're doing is selling the card to somebody else who has interest in it, and who wants it. And so if there are investment opportunities for Deshaun Watson and you see an opportunity to get in there and make money, I see absolutely no problem with doing it. Ultimately, these cards are game pieces. I have a background in poker, and so I go to the casino a lot and I play a ton. And the more poker you play, the more you realize that the chips are just game pieces that you move around the table. And yes, they equate to money, but you got to remove yourself from that mindset. So these cards are just game pieces for us, and certain cards are better game pieces to own at any given time and are more profitable for us to own. And so if we see a good opportunity to get a Deshaun Watson game chip and we want to move those game pieces around the board, I see absolutely no problem with us doing so. So with that being said, I wanted to make a video about Deshaun Watson, because there are some interesting trends going on right now. I pulled up two cards in particular to show you one that I think is a great buy and one that I think is a completely terrible buy based off of trend lines and the the world that we're living in right now. So the first card that I pulled up is the Deshaun Watson 2017 Optic Base in PSA 10. We talk a lot about the Optic Base in PSA 10 for all sorts of players. Highly liquid, great card. Then the second card that I wanted to pull up here was the Deshaun Watson 2017 Prism Silver in PSA 10. Now, remember that in Deshaun Watson's rookie year 2017, just like Mahomes, all of the Prism base cards are technically Prism Silver. There's no Prism base and Prism Silver. The Prism Silver is the base card for Deshaun Watson in this year. So what you notice when you look at these two graphs is one of them is trading above trend line, and one of them is trading dramatically below trend line. So we take a look at the Deshaun Watson 2017 Optic Base in PSA 10, and we see that the most recent sale is slightly above the very flat trend line for this card over the last year. So both these cards have very flat trend lines, which we love to see because it means that even though Deshaun Watson wasn't playing, there was still relative stability in the value of his cards over the course of the year that he was not playing. Instead of seeing a steep downward sloping trend line, that might indicate that we should be a little bit concerned about picking up Deshaun Watson as an investment. But these trend lines are relatively flat. And so when we see a card trading well below the trend line, that is a buying opportunity for us. So what's really interesting about these two graphs is one of them went up recently and the other one has crashed. Even though when one of Deshaun Watson's cards go up, we would expect to see the other cards also go up, or when one of them goes down, we would expect to see the other ones also go down. But that's not what we're seeing right at this moment in time. And so what happened was the Optic Base PSA 10 has now gone to a sell. If you are able to get anywhere near $179 for this card right now, I would be looking to sell it. I'd be looking to move it immediately. I'd be looking to try to get $190 to $200 in trade for the card, because you can say, oh, well, Deshaun Watson's going to start, and when he starts, the card is going to go back up. And that is, generally speaking, true. We don't want to gamble on whether or not Deshaun Watson is going to have a good year or whether or not he can still play football or anything like that, but our thought is there is going to be a lot of hype surrounding Deshaun Watson when he eventually does start after Week 6. And so we see an opportunity here for a 10-week play where we can buy Deshaun Watson and then sell him on the hype before he even takes the field again. That's basically the guaranteed way to capture the value of Deshaun Watson's hype, because once you hold, if he comes out and he throws 3 interceptions in his first game back, then his cards are going to crash. That will create a new buying opportunity, but it certainly won't create any sort of selling opportunity for us. And so the best midterm selling opportunity comes when you find a good buy today, for example, and then you sell it right before he is going to take the field for the first time, so you can fully capture the value of the speculation and the hype of how Deshaun Watson's going to perform. And if you are going to buy a Deshaun Watson card right now, the Prism Silver PSA 10 is an incredible buy because of this very current crash over the last few days. The card traded at $500, which was above trend line, and the last sale of it 2 days later is at $335. So that is a 33% crash from trendline, which means that if you're able to get this card at this price right now, you can get it at 67% trendline, and in a few weeks I have absolutely no doubt that this is going to be much closer back to this relatively flat trendline. It might even be trading above the trend line immediately before he takes the field for the first time. And so that will allow us to potentially capture, if you were to buy 10 of these and spend $3,360, I think that, in 6 weeks time, or I guess 7 or 8 weeks time, you're going to see this card back in the $500 to $550 range based off of this trend line, and you'll be able to realize $170 to $200 of gain on every single one that you buy, which is a really great opportunity for you to increase the value of your collection. You don't have to hold Deshaun Watson long term. In fact, I certainly wouldn't recommend doing that, but buying some Deshaun Watson now while he's trading under trend line, while people are upset about the fact he's not going to be playing for the first 6 weeks of the season, creates a really great opportunity for us to buy him and then sell him right before he starts. And so that's what I wanted to say about Deshaun Watson. Drop me a comment, leave me a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'm looking forward to sharing more content with you guys very soon.